But then I thought we'd go into some historical accounts that were written down for reasons unknown. But what I think is important about this is a lot of people say, wow, these people are writing these things for attention or to make money or something like that. It's like, well, the Bigfoot industry is actually very much a 20th century phenomenon. There was literally no way of making money out of these sort of things before, because often it's diary entries and stuff like that. So there's no obvious way to make money out of a story like this. And a lot of the time, like, especially in the 20th century, you'd be ostracized and ridiculed for thinking that Bigfoot was real. Now, it seems that the advent of the internet has actually made conspiracy theories far more normal and made them gain widespread acceptance. For example, if someone says, I believe in UFOs, okay, you can believe in UFOs if you want. Nobody really cares. But in, say, like the 80s or the 70s, people would look at you like you were insane and you would face a social stigma for this. Now, I know you don't understand.
1970s, you're saying?
Yes.
Right.
So not even very long ago.
I thought you were trying to argue that people didn't believe in nonsense back in the day because
no.
it was stigmatized.
No, people believe in nonsense.
Of all of the sea creatures through history.
No. In the sort of 19th and 18th centuries, these were more likely to be believed. But there was, like, there's no way of monetizing it, right? You didn't have, like, come to our...
Sure, there's still plenty of silly stories.
Sure. But anyway, so let's begin with one from 1792, which was an account that explored the Pacific coast. So the Viceroy of New Spain in 1792 sent an exploratory expedition to find out what was on the coast and compile an extensive ethnography of the inhabitants. And one of the explorers was a naturalist called Jose Mozino from Temscalpetec, Mexico. And in his journal, he writes about a creature named the Matlog that dwelled in the mountains and terrorized the tribespeople. The Matlog was described as having a huge, monstrous body covered in black bristle-type hair. The creature's skull was similar to a human's in shape, but much larger, with sharp, strong fangs, similar to a bear or wolf. Its arms were long, with curved claws on the fingers, and it was known to emit a terrible scream. And there was a similar account of the Matlog that came from a trapper called Muchalat Harry 150 years later. He had left the company of the Nootka Indians, gone up the Canuma River in his canoe, and had encountered, been captured, in fact, by something he described much the same. Apparently, when he escaped from this tribe of creatures, he says there were at least 20 of them in this camp. He spotted a pile of bones and thought, oh, they're going to eat me. But they lost interest in him for some reason. They were more interested in his blanket, and he escaped and then apparently ran 45 miles non-stop back to the village where he was found by a missionary, and it took him 3 weeks to speak about his ordeal. Maybe he made it up. Who knows?
Yeah.
Guess so. Moving to the 1851 account from a newspaper. Mr. Hamilton of Greene County, Arkansas, was out hunting with an acquaintance, observed a drove of cattle in apparent state of alarm, pursued by some dreaded enemy. Halting for the purpose, they soon discovered as the animals fled by them, they were being followed by an animal bearing the unmistakable likeness of humanity. He was of gigantic stature, the body being covered with hair and head, with long locks of hair that fairly enveloped his neck and shoulders. The wild man, for so we must call him, these accounts often just call them wild men because they don't have a better term. I mean, wild man's not a terrible term for it, really.
Better than Bigfoot, actually.
It's less cringe, isn't it? Yeah. After looking at them deliberately for some short time, turned and ran away with great speed, leaping from 12 to 14 feet at a time, and his footprints measured 13 inches each. See, they could have coined the term Bigfoot then and there.
They were like, that's ridiculous, wild man.
This is a long-known creature in Arkansas, apparently. Lots of people described as having seen him in the mid-19th century. As much as 17 years previously before this sighting. A planter saw him very recently, but withheld his information lest he should not be credited until the account of Mr. Hamilton and his friend placed the existence of the animal beyond cavil, which is beyond doubt. That was the Memphis Inquirer in 1851. So again, these are not like unserious people. That's the thing. Like, there's no particular profit in it, and in this particular case, one of them doesn't want to be credited.
Except selling newspapers in this instance.
Yeah, but for the people telling the story, there's no particular credit in it.
Right.
They don't gain anything. So why are they making up these accounts?
To be fair, newspapers back in the day would just make stuff up sometimes.
Back in the day.
Oh,
Yeah. Newspapers back in the day were fake news, don't you know?
I mean, like, completely. Like, let's just make up a story that happened somewhere. Like Yellow Press today, except...
Like what happened with Bolsonaro.
No, where all the characters are fake and everything.
Oh,
like,
right. Well, there is that.
Not just, here's a guy I don't like, he did this thing, trust me, I swear. But...
So, let's move on to the 1890s with the Hudson Bay account. Now, if you scroll down on this, there's actually a photo in this, which I think is interesting. If you can scroll down to the photo, right, so that thing laying on the floor is apparently a shot Bigfoot from 1894.
All right. The best thing so far.
It is, isn't it? Right, so this...
what do they do with the body?
I'll tell you. So the photo was taken in 1894, but apparently also is featured in a 1982 book. But anyway, the person writing this article thinks that this doesn't look like it's fake. It's like, no, I guess not. It just looks like a furry body lying in the snow. The face is hairy, but not very detailed. Well, it's a photo from 1894. What do you expect? For some reason, no feet, so we can't tell how big the feet are. Don't know if it's an authentic Bigfoot.
We found the hairy ape man, but it's not Bigfoot. He's got tiny feet.
So no, feet are just really average size, actually. I mean, not even small foot. But yeah,
if they do find an ape man wandering around and the feet aren't big enough, the Bigfoot conspiracy will go on.
Yeah, this isn't the one.
Separate from whatever we found.
Well, the thing, it's not even really a conspiracy. I mean, there are conspiracies that like the government is hiding Bigfoot and stuff, but like most of this is not conspiracy. It's just I saw something crazy.
It is the wrong term to use, but it's the term we're left with in modern English.
Theory, maybe, or hypothetical. Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, so in 1894, in the wilds of Western Canada, some trappers and mountain men encountered a Bigfoot and shot him. And they took a photograph of it. This is basically it. That's basically the entire knowledge of this thing we have.
This I don't get. Why not take the body, show it? This is worth a lot of money just for people looking at it.
Yeah, but I mean, on the other flip side of it, you're in the middle of like some mountain in the snow. And a Bigfoot body's probably going to be heavy. Like, just taking a regular human is a difficult thing.
But then you're going to figure out, like, let's plant something here, like a big stick, so we can figure out where it is, come back and get it at some point.
Maybe.
I mean, you'd make a big deal about it. I mean, people used to take bodies and charge people to look at a dead body and make money.
But, I mean, taking a photo in 1894 is probably as good as having the body, right? Like, it's not like, that's Photoshop.
No. My point is that if it's genuinely real and you're the person there, you'd be like, I'm going to be rich as hell showing people this thing.
Maybe.
And you're going to organise getting the thing.
But again, if you're walking around in snowshoes, how the hell are you going to get this thing back?
You'll find a way. I mean, like, there's Internet Historian's most recent video. That's just the level of perseverance people will go through to make money. This dude who, I don't know if you've seen the video about the cave, but it's this ridiculous cave that's ridiculously risky and hard to get through. So he can show people this stalactite or whatever, and he's trying to make a tourist business. People
right.
And he'll guide them through the cave.
Yeah.
And he just ends up dead at the end of it.
Of course he does.
But it's just the ridiculous nonsense, and it wasn't just him. Loads of people in this town were doing it because it was a craze to make money, and this kind of things people will go through in this time period to make cash. I feel like organizing the Bigfoot body wouldn't be that hard.
Maybe not, but I don't know how remote this area was or anything like that. But I mean, it seems like they were fairly remote, doesn't it? But anyway, the photo apparently does have some writing on the back, but a chap with the last name of Holiday apparently took the picture, but we don't know any more about that. Anyway, in the 19th century, again, we have the Skunk Cape. Dun, dun, dun. This is what's weird is that the apparent sightings are consistent in regions, right? So in Florida, you have something called the Skunk Cape, which is a particularly gruesome smelling version of Bigfoot. Like other Bigfoot encounters, apparently not this gross. But the Skunk Cape is called the Skunk Cape for a reason, because apparently it smells like a skunk. And this accounts to this day will say the same thing. So who knows?
No one, that's the point.
So apparently 19th century European settlers, the Seminole tribes, of course, had ancient legends of this thing that lived out there. And apparently 19th century European explorers shot one. Apparently, the corpse was 13 feet tall and over 1,000 pounds. But they were in a hurry to vacate the area before more of the creatures arrived, and so they didn't take the body with them. Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
You can come back and try and find it later. With more guns, so you'll be safe.
It's in the middle of a fucking swamp, man.
Yeah.
We can do.
Conquered the whole continent. Like,
yeah, okay. Conquering the continent, right, means, like, you know, establish. Like, mate, I wouldn't want to go marching through a Florida swamp.
no, I wouldn't either, but people build their homes there.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
Not in the swamps.
Yeah, not in the water or whatever, but like people build like settlements in the most ridiculous places on Earth.
Sometimes they do.
The idea of going back to get your Bigfoot body. I mean, I'm always bored by people like, well, we gotta leave. Well, leave the body here. Should we come back? No, that's not.
I'm surprised they didn't cut a piece of it off. Right.
Yeah, take the foot.
Take the or head.
Oh, Bigfoot.
It wasn't called Bigfoot at the time. So you take
Look
the
at this
head.
big head I found.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you turn out with this giant bloody head, like, okay, that's something, you know. But it like you say, I agree. Is inside, like, it doesn't help their accounts if they don't take any part of it. Like, cut some hair off. I don't know, you know, a hand. Anyway, going on to 1934 in Port Chatham. Now, I find this to be a fascinating thing because, like, it's one thing us going like, okay, well, there's no proof you made it up, right? But they'd be like, I feel like I was talking to these guys. They'd be like, well, you weren't there, you didn't see it. I'm not making it up.
Also, we're getting into the modern era now.
We are getting into the modern era,
So-
but even then, like, these guys would be like, well, I saw it, you didn't see it. You know, you're just calling me a liar, and I feel like they'd be in bad faith, right? To not. Like, I think if I was going to steel man their position, they'd be like, no, I did, and this is what happened. And I took a photo of it, you know, like with the other one, right? So it'd be like, well, I can't say it's not. And going, why don't you go back? It's like, well, I'm sure they've got reasons, right? So it's just one of those things where, and maybe they'll be like, I did go back and it just wasn't there, blah, blah, blah. Who knows? And so, like, I feel like I'm kind of overreaching when I say, no, you've made everything about this up. You know, you're just a bunch of liars.
To watch the full video, please become a premium member at lotuseaters.com.